wrestling community stepped up, and we're still in the same spot. So that would have been a really big bummer.
Yeah. Reece, I got a couple more questions here for you, and then we'll let you get out of here. We really appreciate your time. You grew up in Indiana, correct? Wrestled in high school in Indiana?
Yeah.
And then went to Ohio State, and now are living in New Jersey. Can you give us your top 5 wrestling states?
I would go with, and these are not in order, New Jersey, PA, Ohio, California, and this is for high school wrestling. I'll go Iowa.
Okay. And now if you had to do not just high school wrestling, but all wrestling, high school, NCAA level, and then Olympic level, would there be much of a mix-up, change-up in there?
Yeah, well, you got to add in Oklahoma with Okie State and Oklahoma University. I think they're definitely in the top. Take out California. They've got some good programs for Fresno State coming up, but I don't think they're in the top 5 anymore. But New Jersey's coming up. PA, Ohio are obviously doing great. Iowa's always in the mix. And then Okie State. And I think I'll just cut it there.
Right on. Keep it diplomatic. That's what Mike Mal does.
Yeah.
Favorite wrestling shoe of all time?
I was sponsored by ASICS my whole career, and actually I was Nike for a little bit at Ohio State, but I really like the ASICS Aggressors. They got a lot of grip, and they stick to the mat pretty well.
Right on. What are you wearing these days?
Right now, I'm kind of like floating. I dropped out of ASICS because I was kind of open for some other options, and we're still in the talks with some people to try and create my own shoe or do some other different things, but that's still pretty far away. So I'm rocking whatever I can find. I have so many shoes laying around my house. I just kind of pick one as I walk out the door. I end up wearing the JB Elites often, and I wear some old school Dave Schultz Asics, and then I bounce to Adidas. So I'm all over the place right now.
My favorite of all time, Richie gives me shit for this, but there's this brand called Atomics, and they made weightlifting shoes and wrestling shoes, but I always thought they were the most comfortable. Richie says I just like them because they're unique and no one has them, but that's my answer.
The Atomics.
Hell yeah.
I need some Atomics. I've never even seen that. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's like a weightlifting company, and they also do like some martial arts stuff, and they had like this hybrid kind of boot, but it was definitely no one else had them, so that's why he was so into them. Personally, I was a combat, like the OG combat speed guy before they like mass produced them back in it was 92, 93, 94. And then the other one I had was it was that ASIC Gel Assault that they made that was kind of like a hybrid, more like a training shoe than a competition shoe. But those are my 2 favorites of all time.
Yeah, those are great. I just recently went to, maybe last year, I went to Vladikavkaz, and I got some of the old Russian, some of their boots that they wear for the Russian national team, and they might be my favorite right now.
Oh, right on.
So, throwing some rapid fire at you right now, one question I have for you, knowing that the RTC trains at both Princeton and Rutgers, where do you stand when Princeton and Rutgers wrestles each other?
In the back. I can't do that. So either I'm right in the middle. I'm not in either side though. I can't be more unbiased on which I don't have a favorite, and that's the honest truth. I'm so for both programs. So when that duel happens, I'm a fan. I don't root for either. I just sit back and watch and enjoy the show. And they put on quite the show last year. I think it was 17-18 in the duel. It was like such a back and forth match. And so yeah, I'm standing right in the middle or way back in the shadows.
So if both teams have Christmas parties on the same nights, the Humphreys are going to both parties?
Or none.
No,
yeah, I'll go to both. I'll definitely go to both.
No, it was a beautiful thing to watch that match this year on Flow at the Rack, and just to see the numbers that they're able to bring, and to hear Chris and Scott talk about like the first time that they met when they were coaching, and there was like 10 people in the stands, and you could hear crickets, to now that they're putting, over 5,000 people in the seats on a regular basis is really cool. Are you a coffee drinker?
I'm a coffee drinker, yeah. I drink coffee probably every day, maybe not every day.
Are you a fancy coffee drinker, or do you do like Mr. Coffee?
I'll do both.
Okay. So what's your typical coffee routine in the morning?
I do like the Keurig with. I'm not a black coffee drinker. I gotta have cream and the Splenda in there.
All right. Are you doing full fat heavy cream, or are you doing like half and half?
Anything that sweetens it up.
Okay, right on. And then one last thing for you. Actually, we got two things. One last one though is we're putting the word out there. We're trying to get people to level up, optimize their lives. Do you have any daily rituals or any daily practices that you do to kind of keep you true, to help you level up, whether it be some sort of a meditation routine or a workout routine, or are you writing down your goals? You got anything like that?
I don't personally do anything like that. My meditation is in the wrestling room. I lift maybe 4 or 5 times a week, if not more. My guys do technique 2 times a week in the morning, and then we're on the mats 5 times. So we're getting 11 or 12 workouts in per week. And, that right there is kind of the simple plan. There's no secret to this. It's teach good technique, work extremely hard, and make your athletes have fun so they want to be there. I work these guys really hard, but I pay attention to them, and I don't grind them into the ground to where they really don't want to come the next day. And if they do, then I let them take off. So I think the real secret is to enjoy your time in there, in the room and in the weight room and on the mat and doing technique and watching film, and then do it as often as possible.
Right on. One last thing for you. There was a big match yesterday at Wilkes-Barre University with Zane Rutherford and Yanni Diakomahalis. Have you trained with either one of those guys?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Zane out in Istanbul when we were there a couple months ago, and he was actually my roommate out there. So and Yanni was at that tournament as well, and so I got to get to know Zane a lot more than I had used to. But and Yanni, I'd known Yanni for a long time, and so it's been a process for those guys. It's pretty crazy. So back in 2011, I had to go through a process like that. I won the World Team Trials, and but Sean Bunch had won a tournament prior to the trials, and it was in the rules that if you had won a tournament and you lose in the finals, that you had to go to another tournament to see who was on the world team. So I could feel for Zane. It was like he won the team, but he kept getting kind of held back in his training for the World Championships, and I'm so glad that it's done now for whoever won, and Zane won and he earned a spot, but I'm just really glad for both of them that it's over and they can get focused on the next task. And for Zane, it's the World Championships, and I think he's going to do great. And you talked about Downey getting some haters, but I think Zane had some too, and I don't get that. I don't understand where all these people are. Maybe it's just wrestling getting more famous and more people are talking about it, but Zane has done everything to earn that spot and more. And I think he's going to be the perfect guy to represent the country at 65 kilos, and I think he's right in there to win a medal for sure.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, if you're putting on the red, white, and blue, we should get behind you, regardless of where you're from, what kind of hairstyle you have, what kind of arbitration they had to get through to have another match or didn't have another match. Like, when everybody does better, and we're all on Team USA. So let's just get behind all that and stop putting the hate out there on social media.
Yeah, man, I couldn't be more on your side on that one, because people don't understand that these athletes are real people, and they see these comments, and it might negatively affect their performance or at least their training or mood for that day. And it's really just, it's not anything positive that that's going to help Team USA. And there's plenty of people that I root for that lose, but as soon as they lose and we got somebody else representing the country, I'm on Team USA's team, and I'm rooting for them, and I think everybody should do the same.
Absolutely, 100%. Reece, we really appreciate you coming on today. If you have any things you want to plug in terms of social media, where people can find you, where they can find stuff about the NJRTC, if there's any place that people can donate for the NJRTC, put it on out there for us now.
Yeah, so you can go to NewJerseyRTC.com, spell it out, NewJerseyRTC.com, or you can follow me at Highlight Humphrey on Instagram. You can follow the NJRTC at NJRTC, and then we have one more where we vlog overseas competitions and give you guys a behind-the-scenes look, and that's going to be my YouTube channel, youtube.com/HighlightHumphrey, and I hope to see you guys soon. Say hi if you see me in person, and write a comment or send me a message, and I pretty much always get back to everybody.
Right on, Reece. We really appreciate you. Enjoy your evening in New Jersey. Safe travels to Kazakhstan, and best of luck to you and the guys. Tell them that the Airey Bros wish them luck, and then we'll be in touch offline because we want to get in touch with your dad so we can help out with the Rocky Mountain Wrestling Club.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Right on, brother. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Bye. Reece Highlight Humphrey.
Yo, that was dope, bro.
No, that was awesome. It was great to have him on. Like I said in the beginning, we are New Jersey wrestling through and through, and anything we can do to help promote New Jersey wrestling, the NJRTC, Rutgers, Princeton, anything that they got going on, it's just a good thing. And it's it was super cool. And it goes back to, what Matt Cooper said was just like, don't let anyone big time you, just put it out there. And like the responses that we're getting, guys like Reece coming on and some of these other people, it's just it blows my mind.
It blows my mind. It's awesome how cool he was. He just came on and talked to us like he's known us for years, and I think that just goes back to the sport of wrestling. Maybe I'm like Joe Rogan with jiu-jitsu and always putting wrestling over, but 9 out of 10 times you meet somewhere in public and you find out, hey, I wrestled, you at least have one friend in the room or someone if shit goes down you can trust. And I think that's what the sport creates, right? A lot of people aren't making a lot of money. I mean, if people were making a lot of money in wrestling, Reece Humphrey would have been one of them because he was at the top level. What do you say, 3-time world team member? That's pretty impressive. But at the end of the day, those guys can be world team members, Olympic team members, gold medalists, and they're still an average person because they're not making that much money. It keeps you humble, and to have him on to talk about what's going on and the culture, and here's a podcast we get to put out a little early because it's going to be right in time with the World Championships. The Airey Bros support wrestling, and we're going to put out a World Championship podcast for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it. I mean, I would get back out on the mat, and drill and do that sort of stuff. It's always had a place, close to my heart, even though I went the running route and have kind of done more of that sort of stuff. But for me, I want to get this stuff out there in terms of like training, weight cutting, positivity, mindset, like all those sorts of things where like if I could get back in a time machine and go back to 1990 or 1991 and be like, grab myself and be like, yo, hang on this fucking bar until you could pull yourself and get your chin over it, and then keep doing that all day long. Eat vegetables, eat broccoli, work on your grip. Was that the other thing we talked about? It was like,
yeah.
Grip work. And yeah, don't be afraid to wrestle Greco. Like, get in there, hand fight, learn these different things. I love it. I love it. And I think if we can help anyone at any level, even especially at the younger level, or get through to some of the parents at the younger level, like dude's dad was a silver medalist and the Olympic coach for 2 different countries, and he never approached wrestling. He didn't start wrestling until he went to his dad and said, I want to wrestle.
which is absurd because that's like a 1%.
Well, it's not absurd.